This morning, we got some big news, the passing of former Vice President Dick Cheney in the greater Washington area. Here's how Senator Ted Cruz reacted in real time.
Senator Ted Cruz joins us now. Senator, I know you worked on that campaign. You watched that bond come together with the governor of Texas and the former Secretary of Defense. What did you see?
Well, Dick Cheney was an extraordinary public servant. You're right. President George W. Bush relied on Dick Cheney for virtually everything. He trusted him deeply. And I got to say, Dick Cheney was someone who, at 34 years old, he was chief of staff to President Gerald Ford. He became Secretary of Defense under President Bush 41, and then, of course, Vice President under Bush 43. He was a man who was serious. He was a man who was dedicated to keeping this country safe. And he was vice president when 9/11 happened. And the seriousness with which he took that America would defeat radical Islamic terrorists was extraordinary. He was up early every morning, 4 or 5 a.m. every morning, and working diligently to keep Americans safe. There are Americans who are alive today because of just how vigorously he pursued our enemies. And my condolences, my prayers are with the entire Cheney family, who are losing their patriarch and losing a public servant who made a real difference.
Yeah, just a giant American figure of the last 30 years. You hear that resume in Washington, D.C. It doesn't quite get more stellar than that. Youngest chief of staff in American history to Gerald Ford, congressman out of Wyoming, former defense secretary, and then vice president of the United States. And what really is remarkable about Dick Cheney is that, unlike pretty much every other vice president in American history, he never actually had pretensions to move on and level up to the president's position. It was never even a thought that he would run after George W. Bush was president of the United States. And listen, he's a big political figure and a part of history, and that means there will be a lot of commentary about him, good and bad. Reflections on decisions that he made. I don't think it can be challenged, though, that he loved this country and he did what he thought was best post 9/11, post the worst attack on our homeland in this country's history. There will be plenty of time to discuss that and analyze his decisions, and it will be one for the history books. A giant figure lost today at the age of 84. And when you hear that number, this is what struck me. I know it's weird and I'm weird, and you might think that I'm, always thinking about news and politics, but I always try to think about the human level of a story. And here's what's weird about where we are now in our culture and our society. 84 years old sounds young to me, right? It's like 80. It's like, wow, gosh, he died at 84. That seems right. Am I the only one who's like that? Like, I lost my dad earlier this year. He was just about to turn 88. And even then I was like, wow, it's like 90 is the new 70 or something. We're all thinking about that. We're all thinking about how long we can live because we love our lives. We love our families. We don't want to go anywhere. And that brings our conversation to the question of longevity in general. Let's bring in our good friend, Kim Bright, founder of Brightcore, whose focus is health, whose focus is longevity. And first, am I weird that I see Dick Cheney, who's just been a giant in our lives since the mid-70s, for crying out loud? When I see that he passes at 84, I almost feel like, wow, he could have got another decade out of that. That's like seems young now.
I don't think you're weird. The older I get, and I've never thought that 80 was old, I just never did, even as a child, but I'll be 71 soon. So yeah, it's young to me. 84 is young.
Vice President Cheney had a history of heart problems. We knew quite a bit about those conditions during his time as vice president. He had many episodes there, and he died due to complications of cardiac arrest and pneumonia. This is something that weighs on a lot of people's minds, I think, especially if they find out there's people in their family who have a history of circulatory issues and heart problems.
Yes, I mean, so many people, life expectancy is a big topic, Larry. And it's been here's the bad news. Life expectancy has been going down since 2019 and through 2021. And it's not just because of the COVID shot. It's, all prescription drugs. So many of us are on, well, I shouldn't say so many of us, I'm not on any, but all prescription drugs are contributing to the shortening of our lifespans. People don't understand that these are killing us in large numbers. you're talking about, studies and things that have been done that show antibiotics are going to shorten your lifespan. They did a study over in Australia at University of Flinders, and they showed that when you start to take antibiotics at an early age, you're going to shorten the lifespan because it changes the microbiome in your gut. And even heartburn drugs, those are so prevalent in our society now. They're called proton pump inhibitors, especially. There's different ones, but these are commonly prescribed. These are prescription drugs that are prescribed to people with acid reflux. And then this increases early death from any cause. It's causing all kinds of problems. And it really shows, how every area of health is tied back to the gut. Because what happens is when you take antibiotics, you have a problem where there's a highly contagious bacterium that thrives in your gut that really attacks so many areas of your body. And it's really incredible how bad these drugs are affecting us, and so many people are on it.
It's very surprising because I think people just sort of assume that through medical breakthroughs and technology and quality of life issues, we just assume that life expectancy will continue to be extended year after year, decade after decade. But the numbers don't lie. It has gone down, actually, for the first time in quite some time. And what you're raising here about pharmaceuticals and antibiotics, all of these drugs are sold to the American people with quite the opposite guarantee. We're promised that this is going to make our lives better, take away everything that ails us, and actually extend our lives. You're telling me that the evidence suggests otherwise.
Big time. I mean, if you think about it, if you look at the actual studies and you look at, for instance, the people over in Korea, they live 5 to 6 years longer than we do. They're not taking as many pharmaceuticals. If you look at areas we use the most in this country, and as we're aging, the two things that we have to worry about, Larry, the most are our heart and our brain. And there's so many prescription medications that are designed to address these specific areas, And now people are dealing with early onset dementia, Alzheimer's disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. And what most people don't realize is that your risk of all these diseases is directly related to your gut microbiome diversity. And if you're going to live if you want to live to be a centenarian, to live to be over 100 years old, you look at those people, they've been less susceptible to infectious diseases, chronic inflammation, and age-related illnesses. And these properties, they're attributed to their distinct gut microbial structure. So the number one thing that you've got to pay attention to is to protect yourself, increase that microbiome diversity by eating kimchi. Don't just pound down the pharmaceuticals. I mean, these guys, they've got an agenda, you make lots of money keeping us on pharmaceuticals. When you go and concentrate on your own health and fix your gut, you're cutting off that money towards all the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, the last time we talked, you mentioned these microbiomes and gut and kimchi and all of that stuff, and it's like I'm totally intrigued by what talk about the imbalance that goes on, because I keep hearing that. I keep hearing about the gut health imbalance or microbial imbalance. What is that?
Well, we're born with fungus. We're born with viruses. We're born with bad bacteria. We're born with things like this that God put there in order to, when we're going to die, the body gets to be broken down by these little critters back to the earth. But what happens is when we are taking things like antibiotics, when we're taking things like, the acid blockers, when we're taking too much aspirin, when we're taking too many other pharmaceuticals, it's killing off the good bacteria in our microbiome. And you upset that whole village of entities, if you will, and the bad guys take over, and you're going to get sick more often. And especially as you're aging, you're going to become more susceptible to viruses, fungus, like candida that you just can't rid of. And then as you're getting older, you start to pick up parasites. Even as a child, you're playing out in the dirt. You don't wash your hands. Parasites are coming in. You've got to keep that gut healthy. And you have so many symptoms that you aren't even aware of what the cause is that's causing you to be sick and out of balance.
Yeah.
The key is keeping that balance, Larry, in our gut, because the gut is connected to every single thing in our body. The gut is connected to our heart, our brain, our kidneys, our liver, everywhere, to our skin. Everywhere the gut is connected.
And you just mentioned Korea and kimchi, and I love kimchi. Korean barbecue is like one of it, but I don't, I don't have a jar of kimchi every day. In Korea, they do. What is it about kimchi in particular that has this this antimicrobial effect?
Well, because it has over 900 very unique good guys, good bacteria, and it's been known for ages. It's been around for centuries. It's battling all the bad guys. It also has so many heart benefits. It's been known to reduce blood glucose, triglycerides, blood pressure. So these incredible heart benefits that it has. And, there's just so many benefits consuming kimchi. And that's why we wanted to create something that people would take on an everyday basis. Like you just referred to, you're not going to eat kimchi every day.
No.
Over in Korea, they eat it every day. Some people eat it with every meal. But in America, our taste buds aren't made for that. So we had to come up with a way. How can we get these incredible benefits that are going to keep your gut in balance, which then keeps all the rest of your body healthier? All your organs, your brain, everything. How are we going to get people to take that every day without the odor, the mess, the taste, worrying about going out and getting it or making it themselves? So we put it in a capsule, and it's easy to consume on a daily basis. And also people that are on low sodium diets that can't eat kimchi, we've taken virtually almost all the sodium out. And this is incredible because it's helping so many people.
And this is the kind of thing, this is a daily supplement. What you need for it to be effective is to take it daily. Is that the idea? It sounds like it.
Well, it is. It's a food. It's a food. And just like you eat daily, you include this food. Even though it's in a capsule, we've been able to capture all of its benefits in a capsule. And, it's helping people. I'm telling you, people that went to the bathroom once a week, twice a week, and thought they were normal, they're now going every day. They're not bloated. They're not constipated anymore. And so many people, their energy levels are going up. People aren't getting sick like they used to anymore. And they're active and they're living life to its fullest. They don't have chronic fatigue. When you're on all of these pharmaceuticals and you're just on this downward spiral, you don't feel good. And you just keep taking more and more. If you do something naturally and you promote what God put there is our good microbiome and you keep that healthy, you're also going to reduce obesity. People are losing weight. They found they couldn't lose it any other way. They don't have to use Ozempic and all that other, pharmaceuticals again. Yeah. This actually balances them out and they're losing weight. They're improving the quality of their skin and hair, Larry. And they're not only feeling younger with all this energy, they actually are looking younger.
Well, and the good news is all of my viewers and my listeners, they can get Kimchi One right now, like immediately, and they get a great discount, right? Let's throw that up there and get everyone the information. It's mybrightcore.com/Larry. You made it really easy. It's my name. That's also the name of the show. And if they use my name, Larry, they get a 25% off immediately on that first order. But I understand there's a bigger discount that people can get too if they call in. Is that right?
Well, yes, Larry, because I've been educating people how to stay healthy and use natural ways for almost 50 years now. So we like to talk to people. We have a very educated staff, and I think people enjoy talking to actual people these days. Yeah. So we encourage them to call in and give them.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's great because so many things. It's like it's all AI or chatbots, or they got some phone center, God knows where. And you're like, no, give us a call. We want to teach you. We want to tell you about this. Answer any questions you've got. I love that.
Yeah, it's like old times, and so we encourage them to call in to 888-462-4779 to get up to 50% off their order. Plus, we're going to throw in free shipping only when you call now. And the first 100 callers, we're going to give you a free bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2. Again, that's 888-462-4779. And that vitamin D3 and K2 really is helpful to keep you healthy. With the fall and winter upon us, and that's just going to help your body more. So call 888-462-4779 and talk to our friendly people and ask your questions and make sure this is the right product for you.
That's awesome. And you got a gift there for them for the first 100 callers. And I appreciate that because, well, I mean, I've heard that last time we had a conversation, you got a lot of our viewers and listeners calling in, and they're on the program now, which is fantastic because I want you to keep our audience healthy and living longer. And the longer they live, the longer they get to watch. And we have our little community going with our show as long as we can. That's great. This is a win-win across the board.
Yeah, let's make 84 middle age.
Exactly.
How about that idea?
Let's go. Let's outlive everyone. Kim, it's always great to talk with you. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a blessed day, Larry.
You guys, I want to remind you one more time, it's mybrightcore.com/Larry. That's the web way of doing it. 25% off with my name as the offer code, LARRY. But give them a call. They're really nice people. And they want to talk to you. They want to find out what's going on in your life. What do you want fixed that you want to give them a call and find out, and they'll have lots of ideas for you. But they want to educate you on the product, and they also want to know what's going on with your health. So that number is 888-462-4779, up to 50% off and free shipping on the first 100. Get those free vitamin D3 plus K2s. Excellent.